What's up, everyone? It's John Predicts, and today I'm going to be doing my March Madness bracket. So, as you can see, I've actually already auto-filled my bracket, but um, I'm assuming that we'll have at least one upset in these 63 or so games, so I'm going to go and edit it. And so, I guess we'll start with the Midwest region, just because why not? So, just a little background before I start. I've been doing brackets since 2013, and the first time I did one on ESPN was 2014. And the only time I picked the champion in my main bracket was 2015 when I picked Duke to win. And since then, we've been kind of average, but hoping I could turn that around this year. And yeah, last year I picked Arizona to win. They, to my surprise, got upset by Xavier, who's in the bottom left side of the bracket as the one seed. And I mean, I haven't really watched a lot of college basketball, maybe like at most 20 games, and that's not even like the full game, maybe just like the last 10 minutes of it. But I mean, most of my reasoning is going to be random, just going to let you know. But hopefully we can hopefully I can at least enjoy my time doing this. So I'm actually going to leave the one seeds as they are, and most likely the two seeds, because the one seeds, like, I mean, unless if this changes this week, they never lose in the round of 64. So, and the two seeds rarely lose. But I mean, if I get any of those wrong, then whatever. I mean, I don't know, but let's go with Seton. Let's look at Seton Hall and NC State. That actually, I mean, I know NC State has the better last 12 games record, but I mean, I still like Seton Hall because they just have a recent history of losing in the round of 64 ever so often. So we're going to keep that the way that is for now. Then Clemson and New Mexico State. And I mean, I know Clemson's a football school, but I'm going to roll. I mean, they could very well be good at basketball, and I haven't really watched them play a lot except maybe like one or two highlights. But I'm going to go with New Mexico State to pull the upset over Clemson. And then College of Charleston, I remember seeing them maybe once last year, like as in last season, and I don't think they made the tournament. But again, I'm gonna roll with the hot hand. I mean, I know Auburn has two top 25 wins, but it's kind of like, can you predict an off shooting day for them? And I don't know if that will be the case. I don't know. Like, I mean, Auburn again. Like, I don't know, um like the people that Auburn and Charleston have, but it's kind of like, and I know Auburn just lost to Alabama by like double digits, so it's kind of like, I mean, they could be like Indiana from what was it, like 2016, where they lost in the Big Ten quarterfinals but still made the Sweet 16 that year. They could be that, but I'm not betting on it, so I'm picking the 12 and 13 seeds to advance in that region. Excuse me. And while we're there, this is actually interesting to pick, but I'm going to pick New Mexico State to beat Charleston just based on the logo. And I know they're like, I don't even think they're mid majors, so, but Yeah, I mean, so Kansas and New Mexico State in the Sweet 16. Well, let's actually look at Kansas and Seton Hall first. But I mean, where's I mean, Seton Hall is like in the Eastern Coast, I think. East Coast, my bad. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, I mean, unless yeah, again, it has to be like an injury or off shooting night for Kansas, but I I I, I think Kansas is going to beat Seton Hall, but it would still be good for Seton Hall though, as they would have, if this is right, they would have gotten their first win in a while in the tournament. So that's that right there. I'll come back to that a little bit later. Actually, you know what? I think that's probably going to happen anyway. So we're just going to leave that there. Kansas beating New Mexico State. I mean, I just feel like the Cinderella story eventually has to run out, and I just feel like it'll run out there. And then we got TCU and Arizona State or Syracuse. But I don't think Arizona State or Syracuse is going to beat TCU anyway. Not to mention that TCU's also rested. So I think TCU should still win that game, even though I don't know anything about their roster or something like that. And then Michigan State, I know they have Miles Bridges, and I don't really know who Bucknell has. And I mean, I don't see how I can't pick Michigan State here. I mean, I guess if there's a marquee upset, it's that. Well, I didn't mean to do that, but um, yeah, I'm still gonna pick Michigan State, and that's kind of like a whatever if I don't get it right. And TCU, wait, okay, let's. Yeah, I don't. Well, for URI and Oklahoma, I don't see. I mean, I know URI played badly today and they lost to Davidson, but I don't see how um like if as long as they stop Trey Young, I don't really see how Oklahoma wins that game. And I mean, they could do a Syracuse, what Syracuse did in 2015, and I mean 2016, and make it to the Final Four. But Syracuse had more players around Benege. Like they had Leiden and Malachi Richardson, who now plays for I think the Sacramento Kings. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like URI is going should be able to beat Oklahoma in that game. And then Duke and Iona. I mean, I know Iona's made it a few times, but I I don't know. Duke did lose to UNC, but UNC is not Iona, so I'm going to say that Duke wins that handily, just like most two seeds do. And and TC Michigan State. That's interesting, but they're playing in Michigan. So, gee, and Michigan has the hot hand. Sure, TCU does score more, but it's kind of like, will their defense hold up as well? And I mean, I'm thinking, I'm going with the hot hand with Michigan State, even though I think TCU would be able to put up a good fight, but I don't think it'll be enough. And then we already have Kansas there. And then Michigan State and Duke. This one, And Michigan State did lose to, I think they lost to Michigan, but so at least here, Michigan State has the better defense, but Duke has a better offense. Yeah, this could go either way, but gee, this is tough. But I'm actually gonna have to go with Michigan State here because when it comes down to, can you see a Kansas and Actually, wait, no, not because of that. It's because Michigan State and Duke last played in 2015, and Duke won. So I feel like this will be a revenge game for Michigan State, and I feel that they'll be able to beat Duke. I mean, even with Grayson Allen and Marvin Bagley, I still think that Michigan State's going to find a way to pull it out. And then I'm just thinking that Kansas has had off years, and I mean they are. I mean, I don't know if Uduka, whatever his name's is going to return for Kansas, but assuming that he's not, I feel like Michigan State's going to be able to expose that. Plus, their logo's better, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Michigan State to the Final Four. And then let's go over, because the West seemed looked difficult when I was watching on Selection Sunday. So let's go back over to up to the East bracket. Um, Virginia Tech, Alabama. That should be interesting. A lot of these games, I think, you're going to hear me say this a lot, but I think a lot of these games are going to be interesting. Sure, there might be a few blowouts, but Virginia Tech, Alabama, that should be like game of the round right there. I mean, I have to see what other games there are, but that seems pretty good to me. And I mean, as someone doing a bracket, that's going to be hard to pick. But I mean, I know Virginia Tech got bounced early on, but I feel that they'll be able to pick it up together and hold on for what should be a close game against Alabama. So I'm going to keep that where that is. And then West Virginia and Murray State. Now, Murray State had that snub in 2015 or 2016 where they won 25 games in a row, and they didn't make the tournament. And I feel like this would be like their revenge tour. So I'm going to go with Murray State upsetting, yes, West Virginia. And I mean, it's hard to pick upsets. I mean, especially if you watch a lot of the games like I did last year, and like especially Arizona going down. That was a shock to me, and I thought they were the most complete team in the tournament behind North Carolina, but I still thought would beat North Carolina last year because they were playing in Arizona, even though that's flawed reasoning. But then Wichita State and Marshall. I don't even know who Marshall is, but I'm just thinking that Marshall's just not going to be able to have a chance against them, even though they beat Middle Tennessee twice. But I mean, Middle Tennessee didn't even make the tournament this year. Sure, you could say that they got snubbed along with a few other teams, but I mean that's I mean, considering that they're not in the tournament, that's not as good of a win as many thought it would have been. And even though Wichita State doesn't have like some of the key players that they used to have, like Ron Baker and Fred VanVleet, I still think they're going to get the job done. And then I know that the Villanova Wichita State or West Virginia matchup could be hyped up a lot, but I'm going to start with this one. And I'm just thinking that the Cinderella story is going to continue on. I mean, I know they played Auburn close, and they haven't really had any other top 25 matchups beyond that. But I just think Murray State's going to continue their hot streak and upset Wichita State yet again. Well, I mean, the second upset of the weekend. And then Villanova, Virginia Tech. I mean, I know Virginia Tech could be like what Indiana was in 20. I think it was 2016 where Indiana basically flamed out the first conference tournament game they played, but made it to the Sweet 16. But I just feel that Villanova is just going to be too much for them. And even though I haven't watched them, they're also playing Pittsburgh. So maybe they can win a home game, but if you can't beat a tournament bound Notre Dame on a neutral court, then it's hard to see. I mean, especially after an Alabama game. I mean, I just don't see it. So I'm gonna keep Villanova going to the Sweet 16 for now. And then let's move to the bottom. I don't need to scroll down. I don't know why I'm scrolling down, but looking at Florida against Bonaventure UCLA. Oh yeah, by the way, if I had to let me go back down here. If I had to pick who's gonna win this one, I would say that Arizona State's gonna win. I mean, I feel like even though Arizona State flamed out in the first round of the Pac-12, I still think they'll get it together and beat Syracuse because all Syracuse really has is Ty's battle. I mean, at least that's what I know of. And I just feel like ASU would be the more complete team. But I mean, I know I'm sure that there's some people who would beg to differ, but that's just what I think. Anyways, um, I actually have a feeling that mid major is going to, or at least either the Bonnies or UCLA is going to make noise. I know UCLA doesn't have the Ball brothers anymore, but I feel that either team, especially with Florida not having a Nubu, I feel like either Bonaventure or UCLA is going to upend Florida in the round of 64 and move on. And then I know Stephen F. Austin is known for upsetting big name teams like VCU and West Virginia, but I just don't see it happening. I mean, I know this could be a close game as well, but um, I just think that I think this will be one of the closer games, but I think Texas Tech is going to pull it out. And then Texas Tech and um, I don't know who's going to play, but if I had to guess, I'd say that that UCLA is going to go out and beat the Bonnies in Florida. And then, so we'd be looking at UCLA, Texas Tech. But given that they're playing in Texas Tech again, I mean, I know home court advantage isn't everything, but I still feel comfortable with keeping Texas Tech the way they are. But I mean, again, Texas Tech could be upended in against Stephen F. Austin, which would be terrible for my bracket at least. But we're just going to keep it at that for now. And then Arkansas and Butler. I know Butler. They had that magical run in like 2010 where they missed winning the championship on a Gordon Hayward heave. But I just think that Arkansas is going to pick up where they left off, and they're going to start by beating Butler. And then I think the first major upset, if I haven't picked one already, actually no, I actually picked the 12 and 13 seeds to go. But I think once Purdue gets past CSU Fullerton, I mean, I don't really see how CSU Fullerton is going to win anyway. But um, this one's interesting. But I actually, because they're playing Michigan, so I'm gonna continue going with like whoever is closest. Like whenever I can't really decide, so I'm gonna go with Purdue to stave off the upset of Arkansas, and that'll be the second straight year that Arkansas doesn't make it out of the round of 32. And then Texas Tech and Purdue. That's also interesting as well because I mean I don't really know a lot about Texas Tech, but I know Purdue had Caleb Swanigan last year, and they have Isaac Haas this year as well. But I think they'll keep going, and I think they'll be able to beat Texas Tech. And then I think Villanova would still be able to. I think Villanova would still be able to beat Murray State, even though Murray State's on a hot streak. I think the magic will end for them there. And then I think this one's a coin flip, but I think Purdue is going to be able to use their defense and upend Villanova. I mean, not like literally, but I think Purdue is going to be able to beat Villanova in a low scoring game. And so with that, if you notice, we actually have a Big Ten matchup, and I like coincidences because they seem to happen quite frequently in March Madness. Like for example, rematches like Wisconsin Kentucky 2014 2015. Also Wisconsin Arizona those same 2 years as well. And then also ACC, like the same conference, like for example, North Carolina, Syracuse in 2016 as well, just to name a few. So on to the South bracket we go, and we're keeping UVA. I mean, I saw you MBC did upset Vermont, but I don't really think they could do much more against UVA's defense and stuff like that. And then this is a toss up, but I mean, I've already picked 2 8 seeds, so I don't think that all 4 8 seeds are going to win. So I'm going to go with Kansas State just for that. I mean, it's totally random, but that's, yeah. um, and Kentucky, Arizona. I mean, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but Kentucky and Davidson. I mean, I know like Davidson made that Elite Eight run with Steph Curry and company, but even though this one says that Kentucky's lost 5 of their last 12, they just won the SEC tournament. And yes, yeah, you could say Davidson also won their conference as well. But I just feel like Kentucky's the more complete team. And I haven't watched a lot of both of these teams play, but I just feel that Kentucky's going to stave off an upset there. And Arizona and Buffalo. And again, I mean, the reason why I picked Arizona to win last year was that I thought they were the more complete team. And I mean, I know Buffalo could be a bracket buster, but I just don't see it because Arizona hasn't lost to a team like them for quite some time. At least to my knowledge, I mean, they ran the table and won the Pac-12. So, I mean, again, anything's possible, but I just feel that Arizona, Kentucky is bound to happen and will eventually happen. And then we have Miami and Loyola Chicago. I know Miami flamed out in their round of 64 against Michigan State. And excuse me. I feel like where are they playing? Because if they're playing, they're playing. Oh, wow. So that's a neutral site for them because when I was clicking the eyes earlier, I was seeing where they were playing because like if you have Michigan State playing in like what 5 miles away from their campus, I mean that kind of gives me more of an incentive to pick like Michigan State to win if they're playing like someone like St. Mary's or something like that. But anyway, well, let's look at the stats here for Miami and Loyola Chicago. And just with the last 12 games, I'm just going to roll with the hot hand and go with Loyola Chicago to win that one. And then Tennessee and Wright State. And this one also a little bit interesting. Wright State, even though they haven't played any top 25 opponents, they have a good defense. And their offense is about the same too. And I mean, it's tough. I mean, normally these are no brainers, but I'm still gonna go with Tennessee to win that one. And then Nevada and Texas. I feel that I had a feeling that Texas is going to get Mo Bamba back, and even though they don't have Andrew Jones and I think Cameron Ridley, I think, I don't know, but he graduated a while ago, I think. I mean, the Wolfpack looks better on paper though, and Texas hasn't been hot, so that one's a toss up for me. But I'm gonna keep Nevada right there. Let's see where they're playing. But they're playing there, so that's a neutral site. But yeah, I'm gonna keep Nevada right there. Wouldn't be surprised if Texas won though. Wait, actually, how many 7 seeds have we? Oh, yeah, because I don't like picking like all of one seed to win unless if it's the 1 seeds. So actually, just for that, I'm gonna switch to Texas. I mean, again, I told you my reasoning was gonna be random, but yeah, I'm gonna switch to that just based on that. And then I know Georgia State upset Baylor. Yeah, they upset Baylor in 2015 where we had the 3-14 seeds that upsetted 3-3 seeds. But just like Florida Gulf Coast, they haven't been able to really upset anyone else since then. And I feel like they're going to follow that same road, which is going to lead to a Cincinnati victory. And then Cincy looked vulnerable, I would have to say. I mean, I know they were playing on a back-to-back, but I feel that Mo Bamba and the Longhorns are going to be able to upset Cincy and be yet another double-digit seed that makes it to the Sweet 16. And meanwhile, we haven't picked this one yet, but Loyola Chicago and Tennessee. And usually, at least from the ones I've seen, 3 and 11 seeds are usually close. Yeah, as I was just saying right there. But they did lose to Boise State by 34. But Boise State, I don't think they made the tournament anyway. But man, this is tough. But I'm gonna go with the hot hand and pick Loyola Chicago. I mean, both teams have been streaking, and just based on their last 12 games. But yeah, based on that, I'm gonna pick them. And then UVA and Arizona. Gee, that's a tough match to pick. And they're playing in Georgia. So that's a neutral site too. I mean, even though Arizona does have further to travel, yeah, they do have further to travel. But I mean, I usually just don't like picking teams that have to travel a lot because I mean, I'm just thinking 2015, 2016 where Oregon and Duke played, and Duke had to travel cross country to play them, and they ended up losing by double digits. But it's like, will that happen again? That's just what I'm thinking because I mean, what we're looking at here is the best offense against the best defense, and I mean, I think UVA is still looking for their first. I think both these teams are still looking for their first Final Four appearance. But it's man, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like um I don't know what I'm feeling like. Maybe I'll read the team summaries, but undefeated on the road in the ACC, and Kyle Guy, yeah. Then Arizona has DeAndre Ayton. I just feel like Arizona is going to cool off. I mean, honestly I don't know because man, but I mean I know this happened in 2016 where all 1 seeds made to the Elite Eight, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to go with Arizona to win. And then Loyola, Chicago, and Texas. I just think that just would make a little bit more sense to have Arizona and Texas playing in the Elite Eight than Loyola Chicago. But I mean, I'm just gonna look at their metrics. Yeah, I mean Texas. I just feel that Texas can maybe make a run. Because I mean, just think of it though. Because if they get past Nevada and Cincy, I mean, sure they might have to play Tennessee or Miami, but if they're playing Loyola Chicago, I mean, I think that's a winnable game. But that's gonna be, oh man, that's close. I don't know. If I'm going off of last 12 games though, it would be Loyola Chicago. But a lot of those games, Texas didn't have Mohamed Bamba. And I mean, I know he could be like a Jaleel Okafor, but I don't really know anyone else on the Texas team. So I'm gonna have to go with I'm gonna have to change it and go Loyola Chicago. um, and then I think Arizona would be able to make their first Final Four appearance in a while. So I'm gonna go with them to win there. And then in the West bracket, um, yeah, this one's the most difficult. So that's why I kind of like went in an awkward circle, kind of like counterclockwise. But so we're gonna leave Xavier there. I don't think any of the 16 seeds are going to upend them. So this one's interesting because I know Missouri has that Porter guy, and I think Florida State is also a pretty well-rounded team as well. But I mean, gee, it's oh man, I don't know. I mean, I think a rematch. I think a rematch would probably be lurking. So I'm gonna go with Florida State to beat Missouri. Should be a fun game though. Then Ohio State and South Dakota State. And just based on this, South Dakota State doesn't. Oh, they did beat a top 25 team. That was Buffalo? No, Buffalo couldn't have been top 25. I don't. Yeah. This is gonna be tough because if South Dakota State can find a way to run up that scoreboard like they did in the conference game, then I think they're going to beat Ohio State. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put South Dakota State to pull the upset. And that would also ruin the Ohio State Gonzaga possible matchup there. And then, yeah, same thing with Gonzaga. Even though they haven't played too many top teams, I mean, I don't really see UNCG doing much. I mean, sure they have the better defense, and they're also hot coming in, but Gonzaga is also hot, and they have a better offense. But I think I'm still going to go with the Zags. I mean, I can't really see them flaming out in the first round anyway, or the round of 64 rather. And then we're going to go with Xavier to beat Florida State. That should be a close game, but I just feel that they're just too hot. Xavier and Florida State's not hot. It's simple, just by metrics. It's facts. By the last 12 games. That's what I'm basing that off of. And then, I mean, I just don't think South Dakota State is going to I don't think South Dakota State, even though they've only lost one game in their last 12, I don't think they're going to stop or ruin that potential rematch between Xavier and Gonzaga. And I just want to see where they're playing. They're playing in Idaho. Interesting. Um, yeah, the only way South Dakota State wins though is if they keep it low, if they run up the scoreboard rather, because the Zags are clearly the better defensive team on paper when you're looking at opponents' points per game. And I don't know why they don't have that right next to each other, but whatever. And then Houston and San Diego State. Now, 11 seeds are trendy upsets for picks, and both of them, wow, it's like right down the middle with this stuff, except with BPI. And Houston does have the better defense, but um, I just think that I don't know why that's there, but I still like Houston to win anyway. But I mean, who knows? And then um, Michigan and Montana. I mean, Montana does score more, but they haven't played any top 25 teams though. And Michigan State, I think they also won the Big Ten, so I don't really see. Yeah, it's going to be interesting if Montana is able to win this though, especially with the long haul that they have. But I think Michigan's going to beat Montana there. Um, then let's move on to Texas A&M and Providence. By the way, I'm just doing this by region just because I feel like it. I mean, I just don't really feel like scrolling a lot to go and do round by round. But A&M and Providence. This one's interesting because, yeah, again, a lot of these are right down the middle. And I mean, obviously, I'm just going. Oh man, I'm just gonna go with Providence to win that one. I don't know why. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I'm picking Providence because why not? And then UNC just too loaded. I mean, sure, Lipscomb does score more, and they're the hotter team, but I just think um, that UNC has too many weapons, and as long as Lipscomb doesn't run up the scoreboard, UNC should win handily. And then UNC and Providence, again, I mean, yeah, their defense is about the same, but again, I'm going to go with the last 12 games, and I'm going to say UNC staves off the upset. And oh man, they're playing North Carolina too. Oh, good luck with that, Providence. Oh man. Then Houston and Michigan. Um, interesting. I mean, gee. I mean, but how many three seeds? I mean, I just want to look because we have at least two, I think. Moving on. Yeah. Yeah. I think it'd be nice to see a 6 seed in the Sweet 16. So, I'm gonna pick Michigan to get upset by Houston, and then um, Xavier Gonzaga. I mean, it's kind of unfair that Xavier has to travel from like the Midwest just to play in California. But I mean, I just don't. Man, this is tough. But I don't think it. I think Gonzaga is going to hold them off again. And so with that, that's going to be Gonzaga and North Carolina again. And here's another rematch. And actually, I don't think I have a 1 seed even making it to the Final Four, which is interesting. And then, so I have, let's see, North Carolina and Gonzaga. And I think they're playing. Yeah, so North Carolina plays Houston. Actually, let's go back and look at Houston because I don't think I looked at that one yet. And I know UNC got played tough by Duke. I didn't watch the title game of that, but yeah, I mean, I think this has the potential for an upset. So I'm actually going to pick Houston as a sixth seed to go and beat the Tar Heels. And then Gonzaga and Houston. This one should be a lower scoring game, I think. And then um, I think that the Zags would, just like last year, would be able to handily put away the mid-major Houston. And actually, I don't know, because I'm still hung up about Xavier and Gonzaga. And man, this is tough. We've won all 6, but I mean, see, this is why I don't bet on this stuff because it's just too complicated. Um, gee, I'm actually gonna go against the metrics and change my mind. This might bite me in the butt, but whatever. I'm gonna go Xavier to beat the Zags in a rematch, and then this should be a fun one. Houston and Xavier, and I mean, I just think that that Xavier is. I mean, man, this is tough. It's really tough. And you know what? I'm just gonna say Xavier because I mean I know there have been tournaments without one seeds in the Final Four, but gee, I don't know. And I just I'm torn between this because this is just so tough to pick. And actually, if this thing like showed its rebounding percent, because I just remember that North Carolina is a better team on the glass. So I think that's going to propel them to beat Houston. And maybe I won't be glad I saw that if I end up getting that wrong. But then Xavier, North Carolina, I mean, gee, that's like flipping a coin. But I just want to go with the one that has the better last 12 games record, even though that might not matter much by the Final Four. But if you notice, we have a rematch on one side, and then Big Ten on the other. So I know Purdue, and I mean, I know that they have size, and so does Michigan State. But I mean, it's really a toss up, but I'm going to go with Michigan State to beat Purdue. And then on the other side, I mean, I know a lot of people may call this upset, but I'm standing pat, and I think Xavier is going to upend um, Arizona. And um, a lot of this is just random. And I mean, all this paper stuff might not work. Like, they're better on paper, or like they're not as good as on paper. May not work, but that's what I'm using, and I'm just hoping for the best. And then for the national championship, the Musketeers and Michigan State Spartans. And I mean, I just think that Miles Bridges is going to be able to, and that seed fact is irrelevant because this is the championship. Well, I mean, not really, but at least the last part, but whatever. I just think that that there'll be an upset in the national championship this year. So that's why we're going to go with number 3 seed Michigan and Tom Izzo's Spartans to win by a score of let's see. Let's look at this. This may or may not help a little bit. Okay, so they allow about 75. They score at 84, 81, 65. Okay. So I'm going to pick a number in between those two. And we're going to say Michigan wins by a score. I mean, I don't know how like this score thing works, but we're going to say Michigan wins 73 to 66. Is that good? Let's see, because I mean, I'm just thinking. Yeah, because if they're down 5, they miss a shot, get fouled. I mean, man, I don't think this matters this much, but I'm just gonna leave it at 73-66 for now. Looks good to me. And just a recap of my bracket, I mean, you can see for yourself there. A lot of upsets, more than I picked last year. Some of them may backfire, some of them may not. And then I'm not gonna lie, I think by far the hardest region to pick was the West. I'm sure a lot of people would agree on that. And here's my bracket. And so I'm about to submit this. And thank you for watching, and good luck with your bracket.